growing up with an older sister, because my sister's 9 years older than me, I was her test doll. So I definitely had my eyebrows overplucked. Like, I literally remember we were in a hotel room in Amsterdam on a family vacation. Everybody went out, and this bitch kept me at home in the hotel room and plucked my eyebrows. Like,
No.
so thin. My mom came back. She was pissed.
Are we having fun? Hell yeah.
I'm Steph.
And I'm Kayla, and we're two best friends coping with life the only way we know how. One adventure and a cocktail at a time. This week's drink is featured by Kabooki Sushi of Orlando, Florida. Although we're not sponsored by them, Stephanie did have an amazing meal there this week, and she wanted to feature Shen's Garden, which is a cocktail filled with Haku Vodka, house-infused green bean syrup, lemon juice, orgeat, and fee foam. Now, this might sound way left field as a cocktail, especially with green bean syrup, and honestly, I don't know what some of the ingredients are, but it just goes to show that different cultures can bring a unique take to the table, and we are so excited to go more in depth about it in this episode.
Welcome to Are We Having... I always start it like that. Hey guys, welcome to Are We Having Fun? I'm Steph.
And
Wait,
I'm
we already
Kayla.
have this, I thought.
Oh,
Don't
yeah, that's true.
Okay, so scratch
we
all
just have
that.
to say
welcome, bitches. Welcome back.
I like that one. We're keeping that. Welcome, bitches.
Welcome back to the shit show. We're your hosts.
Oh my gosh. So we have a fun episode, fun for us today, because we're going to be talking about being multicultural and living in this society we call America. So maybe this will resonate with people outside the US, but it'll resonate with people who have kind of grown up like us. We're trying to find our tribe. Oh my God.
Our
Yes. Our niche, our niche, our niche, our
niche.
niche.
Is it niche?
I think it's niche, but I say our niche. No, I'm just kidding.
My niche. I think it depends on where you're from. This ties into the whole multicultural thing.
I think, yeah, niche, because I am a basic
niche, like quiche.
Like
a quiche niche.
Oh. Wait, okay, yeah, this show is now about quiche.
Which we could talk about for a lot, because Kayla and I like our quiche, dude.
This is perfect, actually, because we're going to talk a little bit about food anyway. But first, before we go into our episode, we want to talk a little bit about the Met Gala. What do you say? Just kidding.
It depends where you're from.
Because obviously it is just all over social media. Unless you live under a rock, you have seen all of the outfits coming up and all of the celebrities waving very elegantly and all of the influencers just screaming because they're excited to be there. But we're not really going to go into specifics on that. Met Gala and other prominent red carpet events are obviously made to get the media talking. And this is a great way for fashion icons to show their work using celebrities as mannequins. But for the public, we just look at them in awe and we wish we were royal and whatever the case may be. So we're going to kind of go into these celebrities that we have looked up to since we were little. Obviously, the media is a great portion of how we view society, and everybody's icons are different. It's like if you're scrolling on your Instagram feed or TikTok, your TikTok is different than my TikTok, is different than Stephanie's TikTok.
Have a TikTok.
Well, yeah. If she had a TikTok.
So it's very different from mine.
It exists, hers doesn't. No. But everybody has their own algorithms, and I feel like even the media you choose to watch is in its own sense an algorithm. But that's not really how I wanted to phrase that. I just wanted to ask Stephanie to start off, what kind of icons did you look up to like actors or singers?
Honestly, the unproblematic ones, if that makes sense. So Kayla and I, before we started recording today, we actually were talking about like that whole time period of like Lizzie McGuire, like Hilary Duff, and obviously she's making a comeback because I think she's in like a couple new shows. You were watching one,
How I Met Your
How I Met Your
Father.
Father, yeah, a couple things
The
like that.
biggest one.
Yeah. But I remember like reading like an article about her maybe like 5 years ago. And it was like, when you think about like young Disney stars or like young Nickelodeon stars, they all kind of like go through shit after they leave Disney, you know, like Miley Cyrus, like Demi Lovato, all these people like end up going to rehab, end up like having like all these issues. And Hilary Duff has like not like literally faded into the background, but in a good way. Like she like became like a mom, she like married, had like philanthropy things, all this stuff. So I feel like those type of actors and those type of celebrities are really the ones that I kind of like, you know, I haven't heard anything bad about them, so they're probably doing well. And other people, I mean, like Blake Lively, like I've never heard anything bad about her. There's just people that you've never heard anything bad about. And it's like, those are the people that it's like, because in Hollywood, it's a freaking shit show, you know? So for you to like keep your level headed and not get into all the craziness that brings, basically, I think that's really cool.
And I'm the opposite. I love a bad girl.
Yeah,
I love a rebel.
You love the shit shows.
I love the shit show. I am the shit show. No, I'm a reformed shit show. And no, I mean it is something to be said though, like how you're brought up is who you're gonna look at. So like I think of like Miranda Cosgrove as one of those people too. She never really like
until her interview when she's like, maybe fuck.
Yeah, except like that's to show that like nobody saw her in that light of like cussing or anything like that.
I still think she's a kid. She's like older than us, but I still feel like she's like 17. I don't know.
Right. And so it's like there is something to be said about how you carry yourself and what you choose to do. I think I appreciated the bad girls because I followed like Paris Hilton still, Lindsay Lohan still, Demi Lovato, all my girls,
Britney Spears,
Miley Cyrus, because they're trying to make a statement. They're like trying to break free of something like, you know, looking 17 or something.
But is it trying to make a statement, or are they just batshit crazy and using this for attention at the same time? I feel like a bit of both, probably. I feel like it's both sided. Yeah.
So like I've like listened to their stories and stuff like that, and yeah, okay, they could be writing a story to write story, but there is truth to their stories. And I do appreciate some of that sense, but also something that like I've realized growing up is that like my idols weren't necessarily the like, they were all American, but there was something like kind of different about them. Not like the typical, like Jessica Simpson was a big thing when we were growing up, and she was that Southern girl,
what happened to
Southern
her?
belle.
Oh
she just, I think, has her own family.
Faded into the background. See?
Yeah. Like, tries to stay relevant, but maybe, you know, I don't know. But I don't follow her that much. But like, I wasn't always like gravitating towards the typical blonde haired. I feel like the way we grew up is like the popular girls were like the blonde haired cheerleaders, you know, very stereotypical American,
very early 2000s too.
Yeah.
Like,
and I looked up to people like, well, I didn't realize it at the time, but like Demi Lovato, Selena Gomez, in a sense, I was still looking up to people who were what the industry calls ethnically ambiguous, like even Miranda Cosgrove. There's like something different about them. Vanessa Hudgens, they always played the leads, but they didn't
fit the mold of what they played roles where the mold should have been like blonde cheerleader type of thing, but they gave like a fresh take on it because they didn't fit the mold.
Exactly. So like you watch Wizards of Waverly Place and you're a kid, you don't
freaking loved that show,
right? You don't think much into it, but like the mom is Hispanic and the dad is white, and then the kids are mixed, and it was like, not that like I always watched that show specifically, but that's a great example of like, I didn't realize that I was gravitating more towards those like unconventional families, to put it lightly.
Right.
And those are still kind of the people that I watch. And it's even like
And it's probably because we literally grew up in unconventional families.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like it's like seeing yourself. I mean, what is that? There's a word for that. Representation. Like people want to see people like them, like
Yeah.
in shows, like in fashion, blah, blah, blah. So for us to grow up a certain way and then see that reflected on the screen, that's a cool thing.
Yeah, a really cool thing. Obviously, I don't know any of these people, but this is what
I
I
have them on speed
observed.
dial.
Yeah, I have them on speed dial in the future.
Speed dial right there, just saying that dates you, because that's not a fucking thing anymore, right?
Wait, no one knows. People are listening to this and they're like, what's speed dial? You mean the favorites section on your...
Yeah, I'm like, because I still use that, and I'm like, I remember like on a razor, like you hold down a button and it calls somebody. So.
Yes. Oh wow, well, that didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah, like that's one. Have you seen that video where it's like, this sound is gonna date you, and it's the dial-up tone?
Oh,
and there's everybody, and there's like a millennial and a Gen Z, and they're like, and the Gen Z is like, what is this sound? And the millennial's like, are you fucking kidding me? That's the same thing now with speed dial.
Half of those people probably know what like the songs are or what the sounds are, but they just don't want to like admit it. They just want the views.
True. That's true.
But anyway,
but
they probably don't. Yeah, they probably don't. But yeah, so it's like these people that we looked up to growing up, didn't realize it, but it was like everybody was into the Jonas Brothers, but we also loved like Taylor Lautner or somebody that we didn't realize there was something more to them,
Mm-hmm.
Not that I actually was into Taylor Lautner, because I don't think I was, but
Team Jacob. Wait, is that guy?
I don't. Yes.
Taylor Lautner. Yeah,
yes.
I don't even know.
I was thinking Shark Boy and Lava Girl. I went way back.
Yeah, that's him too. Oh,
I know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just crazy. It's just so crazy. We just wanted to like talk about who we are and why we looked up to those people. Talk about you as a DNA segment.
That's scary. Culturally, are we talking? Okay,
yeah.
So
like your literal blood.
So looking at Kayla looks a little different than I do. I just look like a straight white girl, which I guess is kind of the case,
but not.
Yeah. So my mom, so I was born in South Africa to South African parents. So it's not, we weren't in like the military or anything like that. Like they are South African. And my mom, her heritage is like a whole bunch of white, like English, Polish, mainly English, but a bunch of other stuff in there. So she's just like full-blooded South African. My dad,
she's just bloody South African.
Bloody held. And then my dad, he was also born and raised in South Africa, but his lineage is Lebanese. So his grandparents came from Lebanon and settled in South Africa, which is where he met my mom. So I look a whole bunch of white. I am white in the wintertime, but when the summer comes around, you can tell like I have something, because I can get dark. Like if I'm out in the sun every single day, like I can go 3 shades darker within a week. So, which is pretty cool. And so I got the Lebanese skin from
not to comment on your appearance, but obviously like even if you're like looking at social media, that's a great, everybody looks at social media. Yeah. It's just the best example.
What it's there for.
Like there are starting to be people that are like, where my hairy girls at, or like dark haired girls at, because like,
yes,
everybody thinks that like I have really light hair. I don't grow a lot of hair, but some people do.
Don't.
Yeah. Like
that was actually that was a big, that's a really good point, because growing up too, like what we're talking about, like blonde hair, cheerleader, like hair was always seen as like girls aren't supposed to have it, like anywhere. Like if you have it, in anywhere other than your head, it's like weird. So obviously,
or even on your fucking head, on your face is weird, or like some
on your face, like anything more than like your actual head of hair. And so being Lebanese, like I have darker hair, like my arms like are, I mean, not hairy like a freaking werewolf, but like, it's I don't have blonde hair, it's dark hair. So you can definitely see it. Like if I don't shave my legs for a while, it's dark hair. So growing up too, like I remember in 7th grade, I actually like shaved my arms with a razor because I was like that self-conscious about it. And obviously like you don't want to ever do that because then it grows back thicker and like more. So I only did it one time and it was like super itchy, but I just like that literally weighs on it because you grow up thinking about something like, oh, I should have blonde hair. I shouldn't have hair in these spots. But you know, it's like now I look at it and I fucking love my hair. Like, and people like I've never heard anybody say anything about it. I've actually seen girls with hair more than me, which like, it's not that that makes me feel good that somebody else is hairier, but it's like, you know what I'm saying? But it's like
You found your people.
yeah,
You
like
get
she's
it.
embracing it. So why the fuck can't I embrace it? You know?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's cool.
It's like even with our eyebrows. Okay, like
Oh,
when
girl, I used to get my eyebrows done all the time.
Yeah.
I let them I let them grow out now. I'm like, whatever.
When we were growing up, it was like taboo to have thick eyebrows. And then I was always scared that somebody
changes,
would
man.
like overdo it on me. So I always like kind of embraced that because I was just like, well, I don't want to look like a freak. And my mom would tell me like, yeah, I overplucked my eyebrows because I grew up in the
Yeah.
90s and now I don't have eyebrows. And so
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, I don't want to do that. And now
Yep.
the trend is literally like people have to draw on their eyebrows to make them look like
Or
ours.
comb them up. Like they want to
Yeah.
comb them up and make them like crazy, you know?
Yeah. And we have
And-
that naturally. We're like, hell yeah, bitch. We can do that too.
Yeah.
It's our
Yeah.
tradition.
I remember that phase. And growing up with an older sister, because my sister's 9 years older than me, I was her test doll. So I definitely had my eyebrows overplucked. Like I literally remember we were in a hotel room in Amsterdam on a family vacation. Everybody went out and this bitch kept me at home in the hotel room and plucked my eyebrows. Like so thin. My mom came back. She was pissed.
How old were you?
I was 10. I'm like, dude, like
you're like, I want to see the sights.
Because she grew up in, you know, like the 90s and the early 2000s when that was popular. So she had these tiny little eyebrows and she's like, oh, we're going to make yours like this too. And I'm 10 years old.
Yeah.
Dude, leave me alone. I don't want this.
That is so great. I love that. I love that. I love sisters. I mean, I'm sure I did like similar things to my sister because she was 6 years younger than me, you know, and she always wanted to hang out. And I'm just like,
exactly.
Fine, if you're gonna hang out, then you're gonna do this for me.
That's
like
exactly what my sister said.
And the same thing, like my cousin used to do that to me because she was older. Yeah. Oh my god. But her sister used to do that for her too. Oh my god. Long line of older cousins and siblings doing things, cutting out hair after rubber bands get stuck, all the good stuff. We were talking about how we grew up in our households, and I want to kind of go back into what you were saying about like celebrities you followed and how you liked unproblematic people, because I feel like that ties into the cultures we grew up with. Like, for instance, or I mean, it could be any culture, you know, there's different variations.
Right, there's not one general thing.
Yeah. But talking about what people usually know as like some cultures is like the more traditional family values, things like that. Like I'm half Filipino, so like those kind of Asian stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason. Like it's very much.
I know, I always say that. I'm like, stereotypes, not to say that they're good, but they exist because like there's some truth to them. Otherwise they wouldn't be a stereotype. Like
exactly. Like for us, like, yes, school is very important and you do want a good job and take care of your family, and also there's a lot of like pride going on and just like respect and it same with like the other side, because I grew up like in a military background, so it's very much like tradition, and it puts a lot of expectations on you, you know, to like be what you're supposed to be, and like very proud and very
yes pride, and, that's a good way.
And
it's almost like even if you're not necessarily happy, you need to do it anyway because this is what like is expected of you.
Exactly. And so I feel like that plays into kind of who we did look up to, because it's like maybe I was just growing up, I always was like, no, I'm trying to break the tradition. Whereas you're like, I want to embrace it, like everybody kind of has their things that they gravitate towards.
Yeah.
And you either go one way or the other.
Yeah. Really.
And so what was that like? Like what were the family dynamics as far as like the cultural backgrounds for you?
So like well, I'm trying to put these thoughts together. So my parents always like pushed, like doing well, school, but it wasn't like to the extent of like a cultural thing. I think that was just like more like them, because like my parents never went to college. It wasn't like they started out college, but then they dropped out. Well, my mom got like a nursing. It's different over there. It's not like a 4-year degree. It's like a nursing certification.
Something to be said though about the whole wanting a better life for your kids, right, and where they came from.
Exactly. So, but when you come to America, it's very different. Like here, like you're not anybody unless you have a 4-year degree. But now everybody and their mother has a 4-year degree. So now it's like, to even stand out, now you need a master's, now you need a doctorate. And, it just keeps like, I feel like in America, it's all about improving, but not always in a good way. It's more like we want more. What else can you get? How much more money can you make? How can you do this? In other countries, it's very like, you have your accomplishments, you want to do good, but you don't need to go the traditional route. You don't need to go to college. And we just had Kelly on last week. You don't need to go to college to prove that you're suitable. You don't need to go to college to prove that you're going to be something. There's other ways around it. And so my parents like pushed us, like, yes, you should be getting good grades. Like you shouldn't be flunking out of things. But at the same time, if I got a B or even a C, it was like, it's not okay, but it's like, okay, well, did you try your hardest? Well, then that's all that really matters. Like if you know that you did as much as you can and that's what you came up with, then, who are they to say like, you can't, you need to improve, because there's no improving at that point.
Right.
So, but also for me, like just growing up, like I always wanted to have a lot of accomplishments. I always wanted to get straight A's. I always wanted to go to college. So they kind of stood behind me on that, because that's something I wanted to do. I'm sure if I didn't want to go to college and I found another niche somewhere, I'm sure like they would have been 100% fine with that, even though they know like, college in this country is how you make it. So I think that's really like what they had, in terms of their mind. But like if we had stayed in South Africa, for example, I don't know that they would have really pushed me to go to college or anything like that. As long as I could support myself and I was happy in what I was doing, I think that's really all that matters.
I would say the same thing. I mean, my parents, like, they were kind of, I think it goes back to like, okay, why did I idolize like people that broke tradition and stuff like that? Because I think my parents were also trying to do the same from their parents. And so
just knowing your mom, definitely.
Yeah. And so I think they would probably say the same thing as your parents. But like you said, like there's that, like, I want to be the best. I want the grades. I want,
Exactly.
And
like
so,
I want to prove that to them almost.
Yeah, exactly. So there's like also that. But like you said, like if you wanted to become an actress, then they would stand behind you as long as you're putting in the work the same way that you
and
would've.
as long as I have, like you have a realistic mindset, like you can't go into it and be like, oh, I'm gonna be the next whatever. But you have
exactly.
to like, if as long as you're showing like, this is how I'm gonna do it, this is my plan, I feel like that's,
or like, I don't have my plan yet, but like I'm putting things in place. I know it's going somewhere,
right?
Like makes a difference. And what was food like for you? Because that's our favorite.
Oh my
quiche
gosh.
niche. Here we go.
So quiche niche. Oh, I freaking love food. So my mom was a stay-at-home mom when I was living at home, or when I was growing up. So I was definitely blessed.
when I was a corporate stay-at-home worker as 5 years old.
So I was blessed with lots of good meals. And so my dad, being Lebanese, like he loved that type of food, obviously. And so my mom like obviously learned to make it because she was the one making all the food. So we would have like, and I know Kayla fucking loves these, because whenever we would make them, she'd be like, oh, bring me some of those. We would make like homemade like grapevine leaves, which is like literally a grape leaf like from a grape plant, and then they stuff it with normally like beef and rice, but you can stuff it with pretty much anything, but it always has like rice in the middle. And then we'd make like cabbage rolls, which is the same thing with cabbage on the outside and stuff with, you know, beef and rice. Labneh, which is like a yogurt based thing. My dad used to eat that on rice. It's like a kind of like a watery yogurt, but it's not sweet. And just so much stuff. Like we used to go, there's a Lebanese restaurant in Dr. Phillips, which is where I grew up, called Cedars. And we used to go there, I'd say at least like once a month. Like he, you know, that was just our thing. Like we always eat that food. So when I meet people now, because I just met somebody the other day and she's like very hesitant to try new foods. Like she sticks with American food because she doesn't know if she's gonna like it. And that was her first time ever having Mediterranean food. And she's like, you know, do you eat this a lot? Is this like what it is? I'm like, I grew up on this. What are you talking about? Like, this is literally like, like we wouldn't make burgers at home. You know, my mom, like we didn't eat American food. Like she would make this, she would make quiche. Like she would make like cultural food from around the world. Like, what is American food? Really?
Right. Same. I would say same. My dad was the grill master, and he would do the steaks and he would do the burgers. But then my mom would do, it was like, okay, Filipino food takes a long time to prepare and make. Yeah. So it's like a special treat almost. Unless it was like, there were definitely meals where I was like, oh, not again, because like, you know, stews are always an easy way to go, or like curries are an easy way to go.
Yes, but I'm like a fan of those. So
we would have our own specific ones that I would get tired of, which now I would probably eat once in a while, but like I'm like, okay, overdone, you know, on the chicken and honestly, steak with potatoes and rice. But like there were certain things that I would crave, and like I learned how to make lumpia, which is Filipino egg rolls, so that I could bring that forward. But like there were definitely, I'm so hungry now. There were definitely the snacks that like friends would come over, just like me with the grape leaves. When my mom would have my friends over, it would be mango and sticky rice. They would be like, please,
oh my god,
yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna go over to your mom's house right now if she can make that for me.
I mean, mangoes are ripe right now, so like it's the perfect time.
Freaking good. Oh my gosh.
So, but yeah, it's interesting because especially living in this part of Minnesota, it's kind of more diverse than the surrounding areas, but it's behind in a lot of aspects of what I'm used to, because they have like a couple places that make gyros. Okay, they have pizza places or like Italian places that are more authentic, but like sometimes I just want like, sometimes I even want just an Oriental market where I can buy ingredients, and I don't even have that. So I'm like always craving.
Meanwhile, here there's one on every corner.
Exactly. And even in Minneapolis, you know, you would have to drive down there to go shopping. And that's what I finally found some Filipino people up here. And I'm like, so like, how do you make food? And they're like, oh, you have to take a trip. It's 2.5-hour drive. So you're basically buying the ingredients and hauling them back.
Coming back to make them here.
So you buy like a month's worth of stuff.
Right. And then freeze it or whatever. Just that's crazy.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm realizing that what I find is normal, is not normal. Like, some people up here, they don't even eat beans. Okay. Which is like a staple for us, you know, not to call out people, but like some of them don't eat, what's a weird one? Had never had a hot dog or something. Like, yeah. So like, it's just really weird. I don't know if hot dog is the one they said, but it was something very generic like that. Yeah. And so it's just like, I'm like, okay, well, like I'm craving these things, so I'm going to eat them, and then eventually maybe you'll try them, you know?
Right.
But like in Filipino desserts, beans are a major ingredient. Like
a lot of Asian though, like even like Japanese, like red bean ice cream is so freaking good.
Yes,
and I remember eating it for the first time, and there's literally beans in it, and I'm like, but it's like good, it works.
Yeah, like we actually have like a a whole dessert where it's different kinds of like tapioca and beans and fruit, and like that's considered basically almost like a fruit salad, and people would not eat that. I don't.
Well, yeah, because people are so like
Yeah,
narrow-minded.
I don't talk about that to people who aren't ready for it, because that's
Right.
just like way out there.
Meanwhile, I would be like, bring it on.
Yeah.
And sidebar, the sushi place I went to yesterday that I told you about, one of the drinks that I got had a green bean syrup in it. Like it was literally green, and I saw that the way that she made it and stuff. And when I tasted it, like it tastes somewhat like a green bean, but it was like fucking phenomenal. So
Wow.
you really just you can't knock it until you try it.
Yeah. And well, and it's not gonna taste, I don't know.
It's not going to taste like a vegetable, you know, like they make it into like the desserts and the drinks, like they make it to where you wouldn't really know unless you were told, I feel like.
I was going to say it might taste like more of a vegetable to you because you're not used to those kinds of flavors, like a paste, like a think of marzipan. If you didn't
I love everything. Damn it.
That's what I'm saying. If you didn't grow up around it, you'd be like almond paste, blech, you know, but like that's what we do with beans. We put it in a pastry and it's like bean paste, and it's like weird. It's weird, but it's the best thing in the world.
I know.
Well, like, but I just crave those kinds of things, and I'm hungry now for my favorite snacks.
We need to go. Oh, and there's a Filipino restaurant that opened right next to me. So when you come down here, we're going. It's called Taglish, which is the isn't that the what am I trying to say? Isn't that the language? Taglish?
Well, it's the Tagalog, so it's probably like the Tagalog delicious or something. It's probably some kind of pun.
Yeah, and I looked at their menu. There's lumpia, pancit, all this stuff, dude.
Okay, we're going on. Oh, that's so exciting. Okay, I'm gonna tell my mom.
Bring your mom. Tell your mom.
Yes. Okay, perfect. So that's like next week. Wow, crazy. So it's just, you know, I feel like we should talk about this more often, and hopefully we can talk about this more with our guests too, because we do bring on some like really unique backgrounds too. And you know, not to say that everybody should like focus on their identity, because you can make yourself crazy trying to. Like, we're all human, we all have our similarities, we all have our differences, but it really does like bring a sense of comfort when you have people that relate in certain aspects that like bring you, it's like comfort food for people. Yeah. I don't know. That's a weird way to put it.
Literally, who's gonna eat it?
Cannibals. No, I'm kidding.
There's still people.
I mean, that's a whole thing, but not to say we're trying to find those people. But it's just like, you know, people like thrive on social media being like, yes, I'm so unique, I'm so different, let me take this idea and let me put it in a box on like Lebanese people always do this. And then like I have friends that are multicultural as well, and they're like, every culture does this, it's stupid. And I'm like, you're so right, but like that's why we're just trying to find people that like feel weird, but really you're not that weird, you're normal. You're normal.
And even if
just
growing
do whatever
up,
the fuck you want.
Yes, that's our tagline. Even if growing up it seemed weird at the moment, like I feel like when you're growing up you haven't met a whole lot of people in the world, you know, you've only been around like those high school friends or those middle school friends that you have, so maybe you weren't like exposed to a lot of the different cultures like that. But once you become an adult and you really look around, like you said, you're not weird. Like there's so many people that do the exact same shit as you halfway across the world. So
yeah,
take that away.
And if you haven't like gotten to experience our dope cultures, no, I'm kidding. But if you haven't gotten to experience that, then just like go in for a good time. You know, go into an event with an open mind. Like if there's a Greek festival going on, they used to do that in New York where I live.
Yes,
like,
they have one here.
Just go in thinking like, I'm going to be the life of the party. And you're not going to understand everything that they do or say or make food or whatever, but like just go in and say, I'm going to have a good time. And that's when you're going to realize that like
you might find a love that you didn't know that you needed before, whether that's like food, a person, a culture, whatever. And if you guys out there are multicultural, please let us know like any tidbits, about food, ideologies, anything that you grew up with, because we absolutely love learning and especially about culture. So we would love to hear those little tidbits from you guys.
Yes. If we can't travel in person, then at least we can travel through you and
Through your DMs.
and through your DMs. Send us a DM.
Down in the DM.
And then we got, new kinds of restaurants to find out. So
Yes. Oh my gosh. I
obviously
love
food. Quiche niche.
quiche niche really brings people together.
Well, we'll catch you next week. We're going to have another guest, and her name is Maytal. She's actually from Israel originally, and she is so New York. I am so excited to bring her on. She is an actress in Atlanta right now. She's going to talk about traveling, culture, and how she has made it for herself in her own way using that diversity. So it's going to be really exciting.
Yes. So excited to hear that. And if you guys are watching the video at all, you will see the shirts that we got on. We are wearing our
There we go.
AWHF our off-brand shirts.
Okay, we're going to turn around because we have backs to our shirts. Oh,
It's kind of hard to see, but
and it says
travel is my therapy.
Yes, travel is my therapy, but it's
our therapy. Whatever. Together, collective.
So anyway, bye.